The lower IQ meathead trains bro split because Riley Coleman did it, so it must work. He has 6 exercises on upper day and they all do the same thing. Yeah bro, deadlifts build your back, he might say. We all know he will be crippled by the age of 40. Now on the other hand, the intellectual chat. He does a push-pull legs upper lower split. He has fewer exercises but he doesn't need more because they have meticulously chosen to accomplish the exact goals that he wants. He's focused on his goals and doesn't let his ego dictate his work. Now I never knew how to structure an upper day. There are so many exercises, all these different muscle groups. How are you gonna fit all of that into one day? And the main problem I had was that I believed that I always had to do more exercises. Do more, not less, right? And I think the reason for that was because when you start out educating yourself, like when you start lifting, you don't just say, oh, go to the gym. Most of you, if you're watching this right now, you're watching YouTubers, they tell you how to like exercise, how you optimal training plans, this exercise, all that. And the problem is that there's so much misinformation, so much bad information, so much conflicting information, so much unnecessary information that's out there. And when you first start out, you don't have any basis. Whenever you see some new information, some new exercise that some YouTuber tells you you should do, you have no basis on which to judge because you don't know anything. You haven't studied this stuff, no one has told you like the basics, the ground rules, the proven facts. And this is why the fitness industry is so filled with misinformation, because people don't know how to judge this stuff, right? And so when you have no idea how to evaluate someone's tips for you, you just take it as fact. You just believe the guy you think is he looks the biggest or whatever, he convinces you. But tomorrow, some other guy might convince you. And tomorrow, that's another guy that convinces you. And so you get to this point where you have all these different influences telling you to do this and do that you don't understand what's really at the core. You just put this exercise in, put that exercise in, you try this new training type and you switch programs all the time. And when it comes to structuring a workout so complex, like a full upper body workout, which as a beginner you probably should be doing, because as a beginner you shouldn't split up your stuff all that much, so having an upper lower split or a push pull legs upper lower split makes a lot of sense for a beginner. But actually making the split is really hard because you have been misled so much. So what I'm trying to do in this video is explain to you an example upper day that I will structure, and I'm not just gonna say do this, do this, do this because I say so, but I'm gonna actually explain to you the science and reasoning behind why I have this structured the way it is, so that you can evaluate how this applies to you, how you want to use this, and if you find that you want to believe me and you think that this information makes sense, having this ground knowledge, you can use that to judge other information that you get. So for our first exercise, we have the incline dumbbell bench. Why are we not doing barbell bench? Because we get a much better contraction here and a much better stretch. When you have dumbbells, you are free to angle your wrists and your arms the way you want to. You can see in the video that I'm going down really deep into the stretch, to where the dumbbells almost touch my armpits, and I'm coming up into a full contraction where the dumbbells almost touch each other but not quite. This is, in my opinion, far superior to incline bench press, and one of the biggest benefits I think is the safety. You can really fail safely on dumbbell bench press, because when you can't get the weight up anymore, you just drop it to the side. You can't do that with a barbell. If you don't have a spotter, you're fucked. So addressing the form, you really want to keep your elbows tucked in closely. This is so that the upper arm actually aligns with the fibril orientation of the upper chest. It runs downwards like this. So when you have your arm very abducted to the side, you're not gonna be aligned. So if you have your arm closer into you at more of a 45-degree angle and then press up, this is gonna be much better for the alignment, hit your muscles much better. You also don't want to, people do this mistake, they have their arm at the proper angle in the bottom position, but when they come up, they rotate their arms out. Of course, this isn't good to do either. You can see here I'm doing this well myself. I'm really controlling the eccentric, really going down slow, waiting in the bottom, keeping the stretch, milking the eccentric, and then coming up with control. For our second exercise, we have the wide grip lat pull down. Now this exercise, kind of, I would say, a controversial one. The traditional lat pull down that people have been doing, where you grip outside shoulder width, very far outside shoulder width, and then you come down and you arch your back and stick your chest out. This is what I would say most people do when they think about lat pull down. Now I don't really like the word lat pull down in this context, because this way of executing the movement really does hit most of your back. It hits the lats, yes it does, because the lats are heavily involved in adducting the arm to your body. But when you're sticking your chest out and pinching your shoulder blades, you're also working your teres major and your upper back, your traps and rhomboids. So this is not a lat movement per se, because the lat probably won't be the limiting factor here. It will work the lat, but it's not a lat movement. You can make it a lat movement, and you can make it a teres major and upper back movement by adjusting your technique. So if you wanted to make it a lat movement, a purely lat movement, targeting especially lower lat, you would have to grip outside shoulder width, wide grip, that's why it's called wide grip. Then you would lean back, but you don't want to push out your chest and pinch your shoulder blades. You want to keep your spine rounded or neutral. And then you don't come up all the way, but only to where your arms are, your elbows are slightly above your shoulders. And then you come down. Now why is this better? Because once you come further up, the lats lose leverage. They're not working anymore. They're not advantaged. But if you stay in this bottom range of motion, then you're only working the lats. So for our third exercise, we have the chest fly machine. Now in this exercise, we're also going to have a little bit more of an unconventional execution, I would say, because a lot of people, there are two types of ways people do this exercise, and one is definitely wrong and the other one is not optimal. Okay, so the very wrong one is you go down and you keep your arms straight, and then once you go into concentric, you curl your arms in. This is bad. Why? Because the chest attaches at the upper arm. It brings the upper arm in. Alright? So when you're doing this, you're getting a good stretch. Could be better if you had a little more flexed arm, but you will get a good stretch if you keep your arm straight. But then you don't get a good contraction, because your hands are traveling together, but not your upper arms. They are not coming in closer, but your chest doesn't attach to your hands. So you shouldn't be thinking about bringing your hands together, but much rather bringing your bicep to your chest. And now, then you might think, okay, I'm just gonna do with my arms straight all the way. But if you keep your arms straight at the end of the movement, but in the stretch you angle your arms, you're gonna get a much better stretch on your chest, put less strain on your shoulder, gonna be a better movement. It's gonna look more like a pressing movement than a fly movement, but there's no rule in your biology that says you have to do flies for chest. You're technically still doing flies, but they're more like fly presses, but it's not like it's gonna be detrimental to your gains, because there's this golden rule that you have to do flies. For our fourth exercise, we have the upper back row machine. On this exercise, you just want to think about really rounding your back, letting your shoulder blades travel forward, and then on the concentric, really pinching your back, pinching your shoulder blades, bringing your arms behind your torso. I'm keeping my arms a little bit more abducted to the side, more of a 90-degree abduction, because I want to focus the upper back musculature here, not the rear delts. So we're focusing the rear delts on the T-bar rows on the other day of the week. So that's just it for this exercise. Now for exercise number 5, we have the Y raises combined with the behind the back lateral raises. This is what's called a mechanical drop set, and I'm a huge fan of this. This is just great. So we're first fatiguing the side delt in its shortened position by doing Y raises. the range of motion of the side delt actually ends up here and not just here. So the exercise is going to be hardest up here because of the way we have the cable set up. The cable forms a 90-degree angle with the with the arm at this point, so this is where it's hardest. And once we fatigue this position, this shortened position, we still have some strength left in the tank on our side delts in the lengthened position, because that's where the side delt is the strongest. So then we turn around and we do the behind the back raises, where now at the bottom of the range of motion, that's where the 90-degree angle between the cable and the arm is formed. And so we're able to do like 2 sets of this, and we'll be able to completely fatigue the side delt and just finish it off completely. Now for our last 2 exercises, my camera died at the gym, so we don't have any footage of that. So you're gonna have to bear with me as I explain these exercises with my own movements here. So for our first tricep exercise, we have the crossbody extension. Pretty simple, I do this unilaterally. This will target the long head of the tricep, mostly. The long head is the most important part of the tricep in my opinion, that's why I focus it in my programming, because it's the biggest part of the tricep. What you want to think about is keeping your arm not tucked in completely, but at a slight angle, because this will be more natural for your elbow to extend at. And then you want to think about extending your arm behind your back. Your upper arm is not moving, you're only your lower arm. And you don't want to rotate your arm like this. You might get the sensitivity to rotate this to complete your ranges, your reps, but you really want to keep your arm straight and go through the motion. And this is going to place a lot of strain on the long head of the tricep in the lengthened position. Great exercise overall, a lot of stability because you can post with the other arm. Great exercise. Now for our bicep exercise, we have the face away curl. This will place most of the focus on the outer head of the bicep, which is also the more important head of the bicep as it's larger, really gets to that peak outside here. And with this exercise, we'll just have the cable set up at about hip height, a little bit below hip height. Keep the arm behind your body, keep the upper arm straight and curl in. And this is just a great exercise. Not much you can do wrong on this exercise. Great exercise for the bicep. And this rounds out our work. We have the whole upper body covered in pretty much most all the muscles in the upper body are trained in most of the ways you would want them to train. Now there are some complementary exercises that we couldn't include here because this would make the workout too long. That's why you always want to have an upper A and upper B, or upper A and then a push-pull. So in the previous videos I did on the push day and the pull day, you can see the complementary exercises. And because of the way I'm explaining this to you, because of the way that I tell you the reasoning behind all of this, you don't have to follow this exact training plan. You could make this push-pull legs upper-lower training plan that I've given you here and make your upper-lower plan of it. Because if you listen to the videos very closely and you understand how the muscles have to be trained, what different purposes these exercises serve, you can just rearrange them in a way that fits your schedule better, and you'll still be able to train all of your muscles at all of their different length, in bias all the different positions, bias all the different parts of the muscles, and be set completely. And you don't have to rely on this stuff that I'm giving you and just have to trust me blindly. You can just tailor this to your needs. That's what I love about actually having an understanding of what's happening, having just a basic understanding of the science that lies behind like exercising, because you have so much more freedom. You don't just have to go by whatever instincts you have, whatever this guy tells you, whatever that guy tells you. You actually understand this stuff, and it's just great. So that's been it for this video, guys. Please leave a like. If you have any questions, leave a comment and subscribe to the channel.